Hello, guys. Welcome to part 6 of my top 27 worst SpongeBob SquarePants episodes ever. Where we last left off, it was, Rule of Dumb. Now we're doing Driven to Tears. In this episode, Patrick acted like a huge, contemptible, smug asshole. I'll tell you why, and I'm gonna explain the plot. It begins with SpongeBob wanting to get his driver's license. Patrick eats it, of course he does, because he likes to be an asshole to be in front of everybody without feeling remorse or regret. He says, "Duh, loading tastes good." And SpongeBob's like, "Patrick, I needed those." And he's like, "Horseshit. You've taken a driver's license test so many times. 58's your lucky number." But then, after that, SpongeBob balls because he didn't get his driver's license. And he gives up and he tells Patrick, "Let's just go home." And Patrick bitches. And then he goes to take the test himself. And Patrick, for a very surprising reason, actually passes the test, considering he's the dumbest character ever. I don't know why. He's supposed to be the dumbest character ever. How did he pass? How did he pass the test if he's dumb? And SpongeBob becomes very jealous of him getting his driver's license, eventually making his life miserable. And Patrick insults him by, "You can't help by being a pedestrian." And SpongeBob's like, fuck off. And then Patrick gloats, "You could give me rides once you get your license. If you get your license." And that comes to the point where SpongeBob had become so fed up. He worked on it all night, eventually making SpongeBob very tired the next day. Yeah, SpongeBob feels so miserable because of Patrick passing his test. He's very gloating to SpongeBob. He doesn't feel sympathy or affection. He gloats. He even gloated saying to his parents that he got his driver's license. And then SpongeBob finally loses his straw and rips off his driver's license. And yeah, the police comes after them, and Patrick was originally supposed to go to jail, but SpongeBob ends up going instead. And then once they reunite, Patrick's like, I don't have a boat anymore. It was on E. I think that must mean it's the end." No, that's supposed to say empty, dumbass. Once it's empty, you have to when it's get close to empty, you have to refill it, dumbass. So yeah, that ending was stupid. Patrick pretending to be SpongeBob's boat, and yeah, very stupid. Patrick was very gloating to SpongeBob. He gloated in front of everybody, saying how proud he is of himself eventually making SpongeBob even feel worse about himself not getting it. And how the hell did Patrick pass the test anyways? He's supposed to be the dumbest character ever. I don't see why he had to pass the test. Oh my god, why? I guess the director had wanted to make this plot very confusing and stupid, and eventually it is. Patrick gloating that's a very bad influence. Gloating in front of someone all because you got something and the others didn't. That's hurtful. Patrick is so self-centered. He's a self-centered asshole. I really hate Patrick so much in this episode. And if you thought this was bad, guess what? Another episode of Patrick gets even worse. That's right, Pet Sitter Pat. Oh my god, this episode is it's so anger inducing. Why? Why? Pet Sitter Pat, really? I guess I'll have to explain what the plot's about for this. So, SpongeBob tells Patrick that he's going to his grandma's house for her birthday. And he tells Patrick to take care of Gary and lists of things that he needs to do to take care of him. But Patrick ends up doing the most shittiest job ever taking care of him. He feeds all the Gary's food to himself. He eats it. He plays with fire. What, is he gonna kill Gary with it? Oh my god, if he ever did that, SpongeBob would have flipped out. And eventually, it's a huge disaster. Patrick ends up making it a huge disaster. It gotten so bad where it comes to the point. Yeah, Patrick does a shitty job babysitting, or should I say, pet sitting Gary. He does a shitty job doing it. He doesn't do a good job at all. He doesn't take good care of Gary. He tries to give him a bath, but he couldn't. He tries to feed him, but he doesn't. Patrick. Oh my god. SpongeBob have made the biggest mistake ever of his life telling Patrick. Why couldn't he ask Sandy, for God's sakes? Sandy would have done a much better job than Patrick. He should have asked Sandy instead. Sandy would have been a much better choice. At least she's not as dumb as Patrick. At least she could be more considerate to Gary by feeding him and taking care of him, like giving him a bath and all that stuff. She would have been a much better baby pet sitter than Patrick. You know, I wish they would change it to Pet Sitter Sandy, because at least Sandy, she could take care of animals. This Patrick can't. He does a shitty job. And the ending was horrendous. Gary reads Patrick a book, like a story or a bedtime story. I don't know what the fuck it's called. And everything's hunky-dory, sugar-coated. Oh my god. This was one of the worst episodes ever. SpongeBob made a terrible mistake. He should have hired Sandy instead, and Patrick does nothing but do a shitty job babysitting. SpongeBob, I don't know why you think Patrick is a good babysitter when he isn't. Why couldn't you ask Sandy instead? Sandy would have done better. If I was a director, I would fix this plot and make Sandy do it. Patrick can't do it. He's not trustworthy and he's not capable of doing that. He makes the situation even worse and go down to a shedder. Yeah, Patrick makes the worst decisions ever, and he also does lots of stupid and dangerous stuff. I'm surprised that he almost put Gary at risk with the fire. Yeah, he almost put Gary at risk with this fucking fire blower. if he literally put Gary on fire, SpongeBob would have flipped out. That's why Patrick is not a good pet sitter at all. Sandy would have been a much better choice than him. It was the worst thing I've ever experienced, and it had the most shittiest jokes ever. It was also a very mean-spirited of how Patrick treated Gary. That's awful. Okay, the next one I have waiting. This was a very childish episode and stupid. SpongeBob goes to the supermarket and he finds a box of free prize inside. SpongeBob gets excited and he opens it and he literally eats every single thing in one box. He couldn't find it. And he looks at free prize offer inside and he ends up eating a whole box of cereal kelp. And then he sends this thing to, and SpongeBob waits for his toy. And Patrick, of course, however, comes. And now they're both waiting. The mailman comes, and eventually he bought nothing but mail. And they'll have to keep waiting. But Patrick and SpongeBob became hungry, and they had to go to the Krusty Krab. But SpongeBob was worried if the mailman come when he's gone. But Patrick goes, and SpongeBob waits, and Sandy comes, but he flips her out. He flips her, and he acted very rude to Gary. I'm surprised he still has his pet, cause if people saw it in front of it, I bet they would take his pet away. I bet SpongeBob would be okay with it. Oh wait, no, he'll cry like a fucking baby. When I swear, people saw him being rude to him, they would literally take his pet away. And I bet SpongeBob will cry. And Patrick comes and he said he misses the birthday party, surprise birthday party. SpongeBob then cries and he says, "I miss my birthday party." And he's like, "Yeah." He has a cake, but he accidentally eats it, of course, because Patrick is selfish. And then he opens it, turning out that it was a fork, and SpongeBob cries. And he confesses how much of a big jerk he is. The mailman comes and he gives SpongeBob the package, and SpongeBob and Patrick are all happy about it. Part 7 will be in session, so stay tuned.